Greetings, students, and welcome to another edition of Mr. Zoller's Social Studies Podcast. Now, today we are going to be talking about medieval guilds. We know that early on in the medieval times that everything was based around those feudal manors, right, and manorialism. Well, what we're going to see happen, though, as we move forward, once we get to the Crusades, we know that things are going to change. We're going to move away from manorialism. Manorialism is that idea of self-sufficient manors, right? Well, now we're moving into a period of trade. We see that trade rekindled, and so what we start to see happening are goods flowing into Europe now for the first time. They're coming in to Europe from the Middle East after the Crusades. They're heading up from the Vikings. They're moving into trade areas like Flanders, the Hanseatic League. And so for the first time in a long time, we actually see trade goods that are available throughout Europe. Well, as these trade goods start to come in, as these goods start to be available, as people start to flock to towns as a result of this influence of trades, what we start to see develop are these guilds, these associations and groups of artisans and craftsmen who are going to group themselves together, join together for their economic benefit. So this might be a group of weavers, a group of blacksmiths, a group of shoemakers, something like that. What they're going to try to do is control all of the trade in a given town. So like, for example, all of the bakers in a certain town might all be members of the Bakers Guild. And the idea is that allows them to set the certain rules like for things like wages, hours, and working conditions. They can be in control of that. The other thing that allows them to do is to make sure that nobody else is going to be able to come in and do that job unless they speak with the guild, unless they pay them some sort of fee in order to come in and participate in the economic system in that particular area. The other thing, though, that guilds do is they're going to offer a support group for these merchants. Now that people have moved outside of the manors, that they're not just relying on the feudal lords, they're going to have to rely on each other for things like assistance. It might be something like loans. An example might be that if a guild member dies, the guild would step in and they would take care of the widow or take care of the children in that particular instance. The other thing that guilds are going to do, though, is they're going to take control of training future guild members. And so what's going to happen is this is going to start at the very beginning, at a very young age, when a parent would bring their child into a member of that guild, and they want that child to learn that new trade. They want them to become a weaver or a blacksmith, something like that. And so they bring their child in, and initially what happens is they actually are going to pay this guild member in order to house and feed this child. And you notice that it actually on the sheet, by the way, sorry ladies, it says boy, and that's really what we're talking about in this situation here. That boy is going to come in, he's going to live in the master's house. He's going to be considered an apprentice, but that apprentice is really working for the master, and the parents are paying for that child to be in there. And that's going to last for a period of about 9 years. But over time, the child is going to be learning the trade. They're going to be learning what needs to happen little by little over the course of their upbringing. And then eventually what happens is they're going to be promoted to the job of journeyman. Once they become a journeyman, then they actually are going to receive wages. They're going to be paid for the work that they're doing because now they are sufficiently good at this trade that they are actually adding to the production that this particular member of the guild is able to come up with. But while this person is working and while they're receiving wages, they're also working on their masterpiece. And the idea is once they have created a masterpiece, they have demonstrated now that they are worthy of being a member of the guild in their own right. And so what will happen is then they would be allowed to go out and open up their own shop and run their own craft as well during the town and become a member of the guild, and then this cycle will just repeat again in the future. That's how these guilds were structured, and they're going to become an important part of the economic system during medieval times. That's all for our podcast for today. I hope you have enjoyed it and continue to study the social studies.